Georgia sits between continents, shaped by mountains and centuries of movement. Bordered by the Black Sea to the west and the Caucasus Mountains to the north, it bridges Europe and Asia, yet belongs fully to neither. This small country packs in towering alpine ranges, subtropical coasts, semi-desert plateaus, fertile wine valleys, and vast cave cities. Its history stretches back over 8,000 years. Some of the world's earliest winemaking traditions began here. Its alphabet is one of only 14 unique scripts on Earth, curved, flowing, unlike any other. And despite endless invasions, from Persians to Mongols, Russians to Ottomans, Georgia has maintained its language, its culture, and its identity. In the east, the plains of Kakheti brim with vineyards. In the west, the Black Sea hums beside ancient ruins and seaside towns like Batumi. In the center lie cave cities like Uplistsikhe and Vardzia, entire complexes carved directly into cliffs. And in the north, the dramatic Kazbegi and Svaneti regions pierce the sky with peaks over 5,000 meters high. But at the heart of the country is its capital, Tbilisi. Tbilisi is a city of contrasts, where medieval alleyways open into modern skylines and traditional sulfur baths sit below glass bridges and rooftop gardens. It lies along the banks of the Mtskheta River, hemmed in by steep hills and overlooked by ancient fortifications. At the center of the city is the Old Town. Here, narrow lanes weave between 19th century wooden balconies, traditional carved facades, and restored courtyards. Rising above it all is Narikala Fortress, originally built in the 4th century and expanded by Arabs, Mongols, and Georgians over time. Climb to its walls for panoramic views of the city. The citadel sits like a crown on the hill, watching over Tbilisi's centuries of change. Just below Narikala stands the Mother of Georgia, a 20-meter aluminium statue erected in 1958. She holds a bowl of wine in one hand to welcome friends, and a sword in the other for those who come as enemies. Together, they form the silent sentinels of Tbilisi's identity, hospitality, and resistance. Another landmark rising from the Old Town is the leaning clock tower of the Rezo Gabriadze Puppet Theatre. Quirky, handmade, and slightly surreal, it looks like something from a fairy tale. Every hour, a tiny mechanical angel appears from the top to strike the bell. It's one of Tbilisi's most beloved oddities and a favorite photo spot. Across the Mtskheta River is Reich Park, a modern green space with landscaped gardens, fountains, and playgrounds. It's also home to the striking Peace Bridge, a contemporary glass and steel footbridge illuminated by thousands of LED lights. At night, it glows like a pulse across the water, symbolizing the link between Georgia's past and future. A short walk away is Europe Square, where a monumental equestrian statue of King Vakhtang Gorgasali overlooks the river. He was the 5th century monarch credited with founding Tbilisi after discovering its natural hot springs. Beneath him sits the Mtskheta church, dramatically perched on a cliff edge. It's one of the most iconic viewpoints in the city. Back in the Old Town, don't miss Abanotubani, the sulfur bath district. These dome-shaped brick bathhouses sit atop natural thermal springs and have been in use for centuries. Inside you'll find tiled chambers, hot stone slabs, and traditional scrub rituals. Push open the right wooden door and steam will greet you like an old friend. Tbilisi also boasts several important statues and monuments. The Hero Square Monument, near the Technical University Metro, honors Georgian soldiers killed in various conflicts. In Mtskheta Park, Reached by funicular railway, you'll find a hilltop amusement park, TV tower, and the Mtskheta Pantheon, where national poets, writers, and intellectuals are buried. From above, Mtskheta offers one of the best panoramic views of Tbilisi, especially at sunset when the city glows in a mix of gold and shadow. Further into the center, Rustaveli Avenue and Freedom Square form the modern commercial and political heart of the city. Here you'll find the Georgian National Museum, the Opera and Ballet Theatre, government buildings and upscale hotels. On the opposite side of the river lies the district of Vera, home to leafy boulevards, cafes, and the Vera Park, a local favorite. Nearby is the Fabrika complex, once a Soviet sewing factory, now a creative space filled with hostels, bars, galleries, and pop-up markets. Art and culture are everywhere. From contemporary galleries to street murals, from underground jazz bars to centuries-old polyphonic choirs, Tbilisi balances preservation with reinvention. Tbilisi is not a frozen museum, it's a living mosaic. From ancient fortresses to avant-garde bridges, steamy bathhouses to hilltop funiculars, every corner holds a visual surprise, old and new, saccid and strange, polished and raw. Here even the stones have stories. Rising above the city skyline like a beacon of gold and stone, the Holy Trinity Cathedral of Tbilisi, known simply as Sameba, is the largest religious building in Georgia and one of the tallest Orthodox cathedrals in the world. Completed in 2004 after nearly a decade of construction, Sameba is more than just a church. It is a national symbol, built to mark 2,000 years of Christianity and 1,500 years of Georgian autocephaly. The cathedral stands on Elia Hill, overlooking the Makvari River and visible from almost every corner of the capital. Its design is a fusion of traditional Georgian styles with Byzantine influence, echoing centuries of sacred architecture, but on an unprecedented scale. The central dome rises 84 meters high, crowned with a 7.5-meter gilded cross. The cathedral can hold over 10,000 worshippers at once. Beneath the main structure lie several chapels, crypts, and a theological seminary. The interior is vast, with soaring columns, mosaics, and frescoes still being completed by hand. Light pours in through arched windows, catching gold leaf and painted saints in solemn stillness. Whether viewed at sunrise, glowing softly in pink and amber, or at night, illuminated in brilliant gold against the dark, the Holy Trinity Cathedral dominates the Tbilisi skyline, both physically and spiritually. It is not the oldest church in Georgia, but it may be the most monumental. High above the confluence of the Aragvi and Makvari rivers, the Gori monastery stands like a sentinel carved into the sky. Built in the 6th century, this UNESCO World Heritage Site is one of the oldest surviving churches in Georgia and one of the most iconic. The name Gori means cross. According to legend, this hilltop was where Saint Nino, the woman who brought Christianity to Georgia, erected a wooden cross in the 4th century. It became a place of pilgrimage, and 2 centuries later, the stone church was built directly over that sacred site. From a distance, Gori is simple, modest, almost bare. But that simplicity is its strength. The monastery is a masterpiece of early Georgian architecture, perfectly proportioned, cross-shaped and completely harmonious with the landscape. It's the model on which countless other Georgian churches were based. Step inside and you'll find a single, open space, unadorned, solemn, lit only by narrow windows. It's quiet here. Stone walls hold silence like a secret, but outside the view is unforgettable. Below lies the ancient city of Mtskheta, once Georgia's royal capital. From this height, you see the past laid out in full. River valleys, rolling hills, and the crossroads of a nation's soul. Gori is not grand by modern standards, but it is sacred, timeless, and standing here you don't just witness history, you feel it. On the northern edge of Tbilisi, overlooking the waters of the Tbilisi Sea, stands one of the city's most unusual and monumental landmarks, the Chronicles of Georgia. It's not ancient. It wasn't built by kings or clergy, but it may be the most dramatic structure in the entire capital. Designed by Georgian sculptor Tbilisi, construction began in 1985, but it was never officially completed. What remains is a towering, unfinished colossus of 16 dark stone pillars, some as high as 35 meters. Each pillar is carved with powerful reliefs. The upper sections depict scenes from Georgia's royal and military past, kings, warriors, and moments of national pride. The lower panels focus on biblical stories, especially from the life of Christ. Together they tell a fractured but epic tale of faith, identity, and survival. Some call it Georgia's Stonehenge of memory. Others see it as a Soviet-era relic, half forgotten and out of place. But whether revered or overlooked, the site commands attention. At the top of the hill, a wide stairway leads to the monument, flanked by silence and wind. From here, the view stretches across the Tbilisi Reservoir and the city below, a panorama as vast as the stories carved in stone. The Chronicles of Georgia are not part of the tourist trail. There are no ticket booths, no crowds, just stone and silence. And in that silence, you hear history echo. Just 20 kilometers north of Tbilisi lies Mtskheta, one of the oldest cities in Georgia and its former capital. It's not large, it's not loud, but it is sacred. Mtskheta is where Christianity first took root in Georgia in the 4th century. It has been the spiritual heart of the country ever since. Here, 2 rivers meet, the Aragvi and the Mtkvari, at the base of rolling hills, and beneath the watchful gaze of Gori Monastery, perched high above. At the center of the town is the Mtskheta Cathedral, whose name means the life-giving pillar. First built in the 5th century and rebuilt in stone in the 11th, it remains one of the most important religious buildings in the country. Legend holds that the robe of Christ is buried beneath it, brought here by a Georgian Jew named Elias, who acquired it in Jerusalem. His sister, touched by the robe, died instantly from holy awe. She was buried with it, and a miraculous tree grew from her grave. That wood became the foundation for the cathedral's central pillar. Inside, the atmosphere is solemn and vast. Stone arches, fading frescoes, royal tombs. Kings were crowned and buried here, and every stone seems to hum with centuries of prayer. Surrounding the cathedral is a walled complex with towers, small chapels, and frescoes in various states of weathered grace. The streets just outside are lined with traditional craft shops, wine cellars, and stone homes bearing carved wooden balconies. Just a short drive up the hill brings you to Gori Monastery, completing the spiritual skyline. From this vantage point, you can look back at Mtskheta, nestled between the rivers, like a forgotten jewel, unchanged in outline for more than 1,000 years. Mtskheta is not just a historic town, it's a UNESCO World Heritage Site, a living link between Georgia's past and its present faith. You don't come here for noise or novelty, you come for silence, for stories in stone, for the stillness of a place that remembers what the world has forgotten. In the heart of southern Georgia, surrounded by forested hills and mountain air, lies Borjomi, a town built around healing waters and royal retreat. Famed for its natural mineral springs, Borjomi's water flows from volcanic depths, rich, carbonated, and bottled since the 19th century. Once reserved for Russian royalty, it remains Georgia's most iconic export. In Borjomi Central Park, the springs still flow freely. Stone pavilions, forest paths, and sulfur pools invite visitors to walk, breathe, and soak in the valley's quiet rhythm. A small cable car lifts above the trees, while deeper in the woods sits the 19th century Romanov Palace, once the summer home of Tsars. But beyond the pine forests, the landscape changes. Carved into the sheer rock face of the Erusheti mountain, the 12th century monastery of Vardzia emerges from the cliffs, silent, vast, and otherworldly. Commissioned by Queen Tamar, Vardzia was both sanctuary and fortress, hidden from invaders yet alive with devotion. At its peak, it held over 600 rooms, monks' cells, refectories, wine presses, and a rock-carved church still bearing frescoes of Queen Tamar herself. A devastating earthquake in 1283 split the mountain, revealing the complex to the world. But what remains is astonishing. Today, as you walk its stone corridors and look out over the river below, you're reminded that Georgia's greatest stories are often carved in silence. Borjomi soothes, Vardzia endures. In central Georgia, between the hills and the river plains, lies Gori, a small city best known for one man, Joseph Stalin. Here in 1878, the future Soviet dictator was born in a modest one-room brick house. That house still stands today, preserved beneath a stone canopy, part shrine, part shadow. Surrounding it is the Joseph Stalin Museum, built in the 1950s when his legacy was still untouchable. The architecture is grand, Stalinist in style, with heavy columns and red carpets. Inside, long halls trace his life through photos, uniforms, letters, and personal belongings. You'll find his pipe, his desk, even his childhood school books. At the back of the complex, a separate hall houses one of Stalin's personal railway carriages, armored, bulletproof, and fitted with a bathtub and conference table. The museum doesn't hide its reverence. There are few mentions of the purges, the gulags, or the millions who died under his regime. But the silence speaks volumes. Walking through Gori, you feel the weight of history pressing from two sides: pride in a local son who shaped the 20th century, and discomfort at the cost of that legacy. Gori today is quiet. Its streets are wide, its market slow-moving. but in the shadow of that small house, history looms large. Just 10 kilometers east of Gori, carved into a windswept plateau above the Mtskheta river, lies Uplistsikhe, the fortress of the Lord. This is one of the oldest urban settlements in Georgia, dating back over 3,000 years. Long before Christianity arrived, Uplistsikhe was a thriving pagan center, its rock-hewn halls dedicated to sun gods and sky worship. The entire city is carved directly into the sandstone cliff. You'll find winding corridors, open-air courtyards, theater-like chambers, granaries, wine cellars, and even a functional ancient pharmacy, all sculpted from solid stone. At its height, Uplistsikhe held thousands of inhabitants and served as a major stop on the Silk Road, linking east and west. Later, under Christian rule, churches were added, some carved within the caves, others built above. The most visible is the 9th century brick basilica perched atop the hill, looking out over the valley like a watchful guardian. The Mongols sacked the city in the 13th century. Nature wore down the rest, but even now, the ruins remain hauntingly intact. As you walk the rock-cut paths, it's easy to imagine life here. Merchants unloading silks, priests chanting in underground sanctuaries, fires burning in stone hearths as the wind howled across the steppe. Uplistsikhe isn't just an archaeological site, it's a ghost city, etched into the bones of the earth, still whispering its secrets into the Georgian sky.